Welcome to this week's GTN Show.
On today's show, Frodeno sets a best ever iron distance time.
And the Tokyo Olympic triathlon could be a duathlon?
And July seems to be the month of just simply crazy endurance challenges.
Starting this week with our React section, where we look at what we found interesting on social media in the last week. Starting with this not such good news. Steph Hansen is throwing in the towel with witsup.com after the last many years of supporting women in triathlon and basically bringing a platform for women's sport to the world of triathlon. She's decided that it's time to move on to bigger and better things. We wish her very well. She's obviously done a hell of a lot for the sport of women's triathlon.
Yeah, she really has. She's traveled the world trying to cover women in triathlon, and quite often on a shoestring budget. So really, hats off and thank you, Steph, for all the work you've done, and
good luck for the future.
Yeah. Next bit, well, I just thought this was quite funny. Obviously, we've got a lot of athletes heading out to the Olympics right now, and on the Olympic website, Ray Benjamin, apologies if that's the wrong pronunciation, who's representing Team USA for the 400 meter hurdles, spotted that on his athlete profile, well, it actually says 4,000 meter hurdles. And questioning, did I miss something?
Well, that's a slightly different prospect. I'm not sure anyone can jump over hurdles for 4,000 meters.
But next up, obviously this weekend we had the Tri Battle, which we'll get into in just a short while. But we quite enjoyed this little battle directly after.
When in Germany. You gotta get them there with the hand. How did you do that? Hands through the hand.
It can't be you twice.
Physics. Oh. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately for Lionel, another thing that Jan got the better of him there. Pretty funny though, that beer mug apparently weighed 13 kgs, so that's why the funny faces made by Lionel when he was trying to get that to his mouth. Yeah, pretty funny, a little contest that those guys had at the end of the weekend.
Good one for us, James. Maybe the next presenter challenge?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Tri News time, and I think we've got to start with that little race over in Germany this weekend. Yeah, we had Frodeno and Lionel Sanders racing head-to-head over an iron distance called the Tri Battle on a closed course with some special modifications to basically make it as fast as possible.
Yeah, in case you don't know what we're talking about, earlier this year, Jan set up this, basically he was going for the world record. It then escalated into a bit of a social media tit for tat with Lionel. And before we knew it, Jan had invited Lionel to join him in this attempt at a world record and also a head-to-head battle. It was dubbed the Tri Battle. They did it on a closed course in Allgäu, Germany, and it happened this weekend.
Yeah, and whilst it was a race between the two of them, there was also the race against the clock, as they both tried to beat Jan's existing iron distance world record, which is 7:35.39, which is set in Challenge Rot. Now, to help them towards that, essentially no stone was unturned. They had a rope underneath the water so they could almost follow that rope and minimize the amount of sighting and slowing down. On the bike course, where it was perfectly smooth roads, autobahns closed down. Even one of the turn points, which was called the Canyon Turn, was a mini velodrome, which allowed them just kind of ride straight into at speed and get slingshot out rather than having to slow down, dead turn, etc. So yeah, really, really fast course.
What they were really going for here was a showcase of how to live stream one of these events. So they had Paul Kay and Helle Fredriksson on commentary all day.
And they're very good.
And they were very good, yeah. And they crossed to all kinds of celebrities all over the world who were watching the event, live streaming with us. They also had all of the power data from both athletes, which you could see the whole time. The first time anyone's seen Jan Frodeno's power data.
He was naked. It was weird to watch.
Thankfully, he wasn't actually naked.
No, I know, but like just seeing 300 watts, you're like, oh, that's what he's riding at. It's like, I don't know.
It was interesting for sure. And Zwift had new technology where they could show an avatar of them riding on Zwift at the pace that they were riding. And you could ride along with them. So basically you could hop into the race at any point and try and keep up with the two guys who were racing, which was pretty innovative.
I think that was a super cool idea. Now, as expected, Jan did lead the swim out with a 5-second advantage over Lionel Sanders, both actually swimming their fastest iron distance swims in history in their career. Now Lionel actually did claw back a little bit of that gap early on in the bike, but then it seemed like Jan pulled that back open again and then extended that throughout the run. But yeah, a phenomenal race really.
Yeah, Jan eventually finishing in a world record. 7 hours, 27 and 53 seconds, which is 8 minutes off his previous best, which he set at Challenge Roth a few years ago, which is mighty impressive, and maybe more impressive because this course was ratified 100%. It was the distance, whereas some of the other ones maybe are questionable on their distance, although I'm not questioning my times that I ran in Challenge Roth.
I was going to say, you're very proud of those. So
I am.
Want to keep quiet.
And they were legit courses. For sure.
To add to the impressiveness, if that's even a word, of this race, it was also in quite wet conditions. It was on and off rain throughout the entire day. Jan also in T1 had a little bit of a kerfuffle with his helmets. He almost like threw it on the floor. Then was a bit panicked by that. He left his jersey undone as he got onto the bike. And also Lionel Sanders, he did this 3 weeks off the back of doing Ironman Coeur d'Alene, where he had a pretty tough race.
Jan also took a pretty bad stack on the end of lap 1. He coming in for the turn on the slippery wet carpet. He stacked it pretty bad on his left hip, and it took him a while and a bit of hobbling before he got running again. So that record could have been even faster. Lionel was never really competing with Jan, let's face it. He was 5 minutes behind out the swim, lost another 5 minutes on the bike, and didn't really hold it together to the end of the run. But he went 7:47, which is a PB for him and a very, very fast time. So nothing to be ashamed of there. He had a brilliant day out,
and he did,
considering the conditions.
And Jan did say it genuinely was great having him there. Pushed him on a lot, and it really was fantastic to watch them both duking it out. I really enjoyed it, not just seeing Jan break the record, but I really enjoyed the insight Lionel was giving, and just he was almost a bit of a fanboy there with his hero Jan there, but also it was such an impressive performance.
And the whole weekend they really just opened up. It was an open book. You could see everything they were doing in their preparation and all around the race, which is really refreshing in triathlon. Maybe we'll see some more of this. Maybe the next tri battle, Daniela Ryf versus Lucy Charles?
That could be cool, wouldn't it?
Putting it out there, maybe?
Now, considering this was obviously the first time they've run this event, I think they did a pretty impressive job. There were a few technical issues. The commentators dropped out for a period of time. They couldn't get all the data at one point, and Lionel did disappear in terms of footage for a period of time, which I know a lot of people got a little bit annoyed about. But I mean, I can give them some credit here. I think, for the first go at this event, I think they did a very, very impressive job, and better than most other footage I've ever seen in a race. So I'm very much looking forward to another, so please do make it happen.
In more tri news, the Olympics is upon us. Aren't we all excited? But we're a little bit concerned because apparently Tokyo Bay is pretty gross at the moment.
Pretty smelly from what I've heard.
Apparently the consensus from all the athletes arriving is it stinks. This is not a new concern. They were worried about the swim venue from the announcement, really, that it was going to be the swim venue. There was a big campaign to get it moved, which was largely ignored, but mostly that was from the 10,000 meter swimmers who will be swimming in the same venue. They were concerned mostly about the heat, because swimming 10,000 meters in a bay that's too warm is basically very, very dangerous. There's less concerns about that now. The long-term weather forecast for this coming weekend and the whole Olympics is that it's not going to be horribly warm, but the water's not very clean. So last year they had the para-triathlon test event there, and they had to cancel the swim because of E. coli levels that were more than double the limit. It seems like at the moment they're way higher than that even, which is a little bit worrying. We really hope it doesn't become the Olympic duathlon gold medal. Would they cancel the swim, do you think?
Yeah, that is the big question at the moment, and a lot of people speculating as to whether they would. In my opinion, and having spoken to quite a few kind of in that world at the moment, probably not. It's not uncommon for triathlons to take place in pretty manky water.
Yeah,
We're pretty used to that.
We both swum in pretty gross water.
Yes. Now, obviously, you can get some pretty bad illnesses from manky water, but most cases you're going to end up with a pretty upset stomach for a few days, which, whilst you want to avoid that, it's not the end of the world.
However, this time it's a bit more of a concern, because for the first time at the Olympic Games, all of these athletes are going to be racing again about 4 days later with the mixed relay gold medal.
So yeah, even just losing one or two athletes literally means your mixed team relay is gone.
So yeah, we really hope they can sort this out and find a solution, and we really hope that the solution is not an Olympic duathlon. In some more triathlon related news, and this time on the epic July challenges, which seem to be everywhere. Travis Johnston, who we mentioned last week, in South Africa on Zwift, riding the entire Tour de France. We caught up with Travis, had a little chat about what he's done, finished the whole Tour de France, and what he's still doing. Travis, joining us from Johannesburg. I see you're pedaling on your bike, as you have been doing for the last 3 weeks. You're at the whole Tour de France on Zwift, is that right?
That is correct. I feel like I've been on the bike a fair amount over the last 3 weeks, and it seems like my happy place at the moment. But it's been a bit crazy that the 3 weeks has gone past so quickly. It's just after day one, I thought this is never going to end, and here we are 3 weeks later. It's quite surreal, actually.
So you rode the full Tour de France and all the elevation gains for the whole Tour de France, 3,700 and something kilometers over the course, following their route essentially. But you're still on your bike. Tell us why you're still on your bike.
That's right. Yeah, we tried to get as close as we could to all the elevation and the distance throughout the tour, just through all the different routes that Zwift had to offer. And then it's not done yet. From a Guinness World Records point of view, they could only allow us a record that would be the greatest virtual distance over 30 days on a static trainer. So the Tour de France wasn't enough. We've got another 7 days to get to clock some extra miles along the way. We actually just wanted to be the first person to actually do the Tour de France virtually, but because the route actually changes slightly every year, it wouldn't be something that they could secure. So that's why we've got the 30 days, and it's an extra 7 days to raise some awareness for Qhubeka. So that's great.
Yeah, what's another 7 days on the bike when we've already done 21? Well, you mentioned Ride for Qhubeka. You're obviously, that's the charity you're supporting, and a very noble cause. Why Qhubeka, and can you tell us a bit about what Qhubeka does?
I suppose it goes back. I've obviously always loved cycling, and I've got a big passion for the country and trying to make a change, and linking up with Qhubeka and their mindset and drive around education and getting kids on bikes is something I'm really passionate about. So teaming up with them and really trying to raise the awareness was the driving mechanism behind it all. And it's the inner details. It's not even a handout from a bike perspective. The kids have to earn the right to have a bike. So their grades at school have to be at a certain mark, and then from there they earn the right to have that bike. And obviously it's from there on, it's just an absolute life-changing experience for themselves personally and their families. So a really special project, and something that is obviously ongoing, and it literally has the effect of changing lives for the better. So it's been a really special journey, and when you see the kids actually riding off on the bike, it's one of those moments that just give you goosebumps all over.
Sounds awesome. Now you got a lot of traction on this, more than you were anticipating. I mean, we saw some messages from Peter Sagan and the likes wishing you well.
Yeah, it's a bit insane. I suppose you go out and we want to raise the awareness, and you think it's going to be more of a local thing, and when you look at your phone and you hear that unique sound of Peter Sagan going like, "Hey Travis," and you like drop your phone almost, you're like, can't believe he's actually noticed it. And then from there, it was just a wave through the Tour de France paddock, and even old Jan and Lionel getting involved on the weekend, sending some messages. So it was really amazing. And I suppose with the country at the moment, it's been a really positive I suppose, feeling and challenge throughout the last couple of weeks. So altogether, I think everybody, it's great how sport just comes together like that, and everybody just supporting each other from around the world is really special.
Well, we think it's brilliant. We will definitely follow your last week of work, and hopefully you can get that Guinness record ratified and hold the Guinness World Record. Keep up the good work. So far, 168 bucks. I think you've raised 650,000 Rand. Hopefully we can get close to that million mark before the end of the month. So keep it up. We're definitely supporting you from over this side in the UK, and we'll definitely tell everyone we know to hashtag ride for Qhubeka and support the cause. Keep it up, man.
Thanks so much, James. I really appreciate it. And yeah, bicycles change lives.
Wow, what an impressive challenge. Hats off to you, Travis. Well done for everything you've done so far, and also best of luck for the remaining days. If you guys would like to get involved and donate to the charity Ride for Qhubeka, the link for that is in the description just down below. But now moving on to a very similar challenge I'd like to throw to you now, actually from a good friend of mine who's also doing his own Tour de France, but outside, or has done his own Tour de France. He's done an incredible job, but I'll allow him to explain more now.
In May 2020, just as we're trying to figure out what homeschooling is and adapting to 10-hour working days, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. So she was very quickly operated on in June. And then we knew that her chemotherapy and radiotherapy was going to start in August and last through to the end of the year. So during July, when the original dates of the Tour de France were supposed to happen, I decided to go out and ride my bike every day for a couple of hours just to get a bit of headspace, really. And the total ended up being about 55 kilometers a day for 21 days, and it planted a seed in my head. I started wondering if it was possible to design a more human version of the Tour de France, where for every mile that the pros ride, I'd ride 1 kilometer. It works out to be 2,100 kilometers over 21 days, and I'd substitute the Pyrenees and the Alps for the Mendips and the Brecon Beacons, which totals around 21,000 metres of climbing. The original target was to raise £5,000, but as it stands at the minute, we raised 16 grand, and that money is going to a charity called the Breast Cancer Unit Support Trust that's based at Southmead, Bristol, and they understand that quick diagnosis and quick treatment of cancer saves lives. They've been going for 30 years, and their work over the last 30 years has saved so many lives, my wife's being one of them. So the very least I could do was ride my bike to try and raise some money for them.
Well, very impressive there by James. And again, if you want to support his charity, down below in the description, there's a link and you can support him there.
Yeah, fantastic work, James. Moving on, this weekend, Neil Gilson swam across the Bristol Channel from Swansea to Ilfracombe, which is 24 miles as the crow flies, but naturally just ends up being longer because kind of moving around in the tides and whatnot. Talking of tides, this is what makes this so impressive. The Bristol Channel is notoriously harsh, has the second highest tidal range in the world. Yeah, imagine that. Now, Neil was actually inspired to take on this feat because of his son, Jack, who was diagnosed with a rare illness called Pandus, which basically affects the brain, results in a lot of mood changes, anxiety, aggression, OCD, trouble communicating, and even eating. Now, fortunately, there is a chance of improvement for Jack, so Neil set out to complete this challenge to raise awareness for Pans Pandus, but also to raise money for the UK charity for Pans Pandus. Interestingly, Neil is actually an ex-international swimmer, although I think it's quite a long time ago, so I think this was still quite a big challenge for him. He completed it in 12 hours, and just to point out, this is longer than the English Channel. So yeah, really impressive. He did it also wearing one of the Incus Nova devices, which basically tracks all sorts of fun swim data. And being the geek I am, I thought that was really interesting because you might start to see where the form sort of lacks and falls apart towards the end of the swim. Unfortunately, Neil's just too good a swimmer, so it didn't really affect him, even after 12 hours, all bar maybe a slightly lower catch.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
I
impressive.
needed that 10 years ago for my career, that device. Hopefully that would have helped. Anyway, very impressive swimming there. I will never be swimming across the Bristol Channel or the English Channel or probably any other channels for that matter.
How about across the Avon?
How far is that? 10
About
meters?
10 meters, yeah.
We'll have to talk about it. Anyway, if you're wondering where Heather is, you might not see her on the channel for a little while. That's because she's gone on a pretty exciting trip to somewhere pretty special. She's here to tell us more.
Hey guys! Yeah, after Race to the Stones, I'm just so exhausted. I needed some time out. No, I'm kidding. I love Race to the Stones, as you've hopefully seen, and I'm fully recovered. However, I'm about to lose all of my fitness because I am now out in Japan, which is amazing. However, I have 14 days of quarantine within these 4 very small walls. I am, however, allowed to go out to work, and you're probably wondering what work is because I am actually having some time off from GTN, and I'm going to be commentating out here for the host broadcaster. So an incredible opportunity to come out to Japan and hopefully, after my 14 days of quarantine, to experience the city a little bit more and to get to see some of the events in person. I am going to be obviously watching them all on a screen to start with, but I can tell you from the tiny moment I've had outdoors, it is scorching out here, and I can't imagine even walking for 5 minutes. So it's going to be really exciting to see how the competition pans out. But hopefully I'll be able to give you some little updates and insights onto what is going on here on the ground in Tokyo. But for now, I'm going to be watching lots of GTN because there's not much else to do in a very small hotel room. Anyway, catch you guys soon. Ciao.
On to the racing news, and not that much to report as far as results goes. We did warn you that was going to happen in the middle of July. Coming up though, this weekend is Ironman Lake Placid, which is a big one. We're pretty excited about watching this one. Joe Skipper's heading over there from the UK, and there's quite a few people going for those Kona slots, a full 6 pro Kona slots up for grabs, and it's getting tight to get those slots now. Interesting, Lionel Sanders is on the start list, and he's one of those ones who desperately needs his Kona slot, but surely he won't be there 1 week after the tri battle.
Who knows? I mean, I'm very interested, and like you say, he needs that slot, and the later he leaves it, the closer to Kona it gets. But 3 weeks ago, he did Coeur d'Alene. Now he's just done a world record attempt. A week late? Surely
I just can't see it. He's going to have to pick an Ironman later on in the season.
Yeah.
Does get close to Kona though, but he's up against it now. So we'll see what he chooses. Speaking of Ironmans, Ironman Wales has been postponed for September 11th, 2021. It's not going to happen.
Well, surely that it doesn't mean it's postponed.
Well, they postponed it to September 11th, 2022.
So they cancelled it.
Which basically means, yeah, they've cancelled the 2021 event and they are still going to have their 2022 event.
But in all seriousness, pretty good about that one. It's a big iconic event, and I know a lot of our viewers maybe have been gunning for that event. So really sorry about that.
It is frustrating, especially as things are getting unlocked in the UK to still have races being cancelled. We were hoping that was the end of races being cancelled for COVID. Apparently we've got a bit to go still.
Yeah, unfortunately for something like Ironman Wales, just in Tenby, the location for that event is so unique that just it does struggle with.
It would be very congested.
Yeah, it really would. Also, bit of news on the PTO. We're getting closer and closer, obviously, to the Collins Cup. We've got the qualification cut-off, the captain's picks coming. So a lot of exciting content coming out from that. One of which is a new video with Lucy Charles Barkley called Battle for Glory series. There's others in this series coming up with other athletes. Now, they've had a pre-release on their website for the last week or so, but now it's available for public. So you can just check that out on their YouTube page.
Time to take a look at some of the stuff you guys have sent in. And remember, you can send in your own stuff. Just use our video uploader down below. Ben Hawkins sent this in. He said he used up a whole week's worth of his annual leave to complete an Everesting triathlon. An Everesting triathlon being swimming 8,848 meters. I assume that wasn't straight uphill like Everest is. Completed a bike Everesting after that, and then completed a run Everesting, which again climbs 8,848 meters of elevation gain. Pretty impressive way to spend your week of holiday. he did it all raising money for the Wildlife Trust in the UK, so kudos to Ben Hawkins for that.
Yeah, really cool idea. Very good work. Next, Matthew, being a proper fanboy, and travelled from Switzerland to Germany to watch the Tri Battle with Jan and Lionel. He said he enjoyed and said it was worth every second. Watching the guys come across the line was amazing, and being able to experience it up close and in person was like nothing else. And here's obviously a photo of him getting an autograph and pictures with Lionel himself. So well done. Next one from Jeremy. He's ridden out with his friend Jason, racing the sun up Palomar Mountain before it hit 105 degrees Fahrenheit. I have to admit, I had to Google what that was in Celsius, and it's 40 degrees Celsius.
Pretty warm.
Very warm.
Hope they beat the sun.
Yeah.
Next up, we have this photo from Nick. It's of his Giant TCR 2021 disc in South Africa. That's one of my old favorite rides. And as you can see, winter in South Africa is looking pretty brutal. He sent this in.
Hard life.
Yeah, he sent this in to me. Took this on the other day on a nice day during winter, solo trip from Hermanus to Stellenbosch. An amazing road to ride, and looks like they're having really tough winter down there in South Africa.
Yeah, you missing it?
Yeah.
I've got to say, I've actually done that ride myself. It is nice, unless you have the wind in the wrong direction, which it can be very bad though.
Yeah. You can't see the wind in the photos.
I did have a headwind the entire way I did it.
You can't see the wind in the photos, so it's always good for a photo.
And next one from Doug in Colville, Utah, where unfortunately they're experiencing a bit of a drought. As you can see here in this photo where they're doing a triathlon. It says the first part of the two-loop swim included a 100-yard sprint through the mud to get to the water. Also, the water level was so low that the athletes were required to walk around the buoys at the bottom of the first loop before swimming again, and then the 100-yard mud crawl to the swim exit.
Looks a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there going, oh, great, don't have to swim as much, but that looks tough.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a fun way to start your triathlon, to be honest.
No, not at all. Well, please do keep your photos and videos coming in using the photo upload link, which is on screen right now, or you find it in the description just down below. Okay, now on to the Caption Competition. And last week we had this photo from Ironman Bolton with Tim Don powering his way up the hill with a couple of wrestlers at the top. Bike and Dog Trips said Tim appears to be wrestling with that hill. Hey.
Simon Granger says, and Tim Don is desperately trying not to make eye contact. Don't blame him.
But the winner is Corbin Getz, who said, and we have Tim coming up the hill now, passing by a few of his fans. Oh no, they hit him with a chair. Is that quite good?
That was very good, man.
Oh,
well done.
mate.
I think you nailed the voice there.
Man,
well done, Corbin. Send us your details and we'll get a GTN cap out to you.
And now for this week's Caption Comp photo, we have actually, well, to be honest, just stolen the photo from the last one that we showed from the uploader. But it's a really good one. I like it. It's funny.
I think so too. I'll start you off. I don't know why people always complain about open water sighting. I've had no problem seeing the boys today.
That's good. I like it.
Well, if you think you can do better, leave your comments with the tag Caption down below, and maybe you could win that swim cap next week. Moving on. Oh, not moving on. It's the end of the show.
James. I know. Sad times, I know, when the show comes to an end. But we have loads coming up on the channel. Obviously, we've got the Tokyo Olympic Games coming up, which is really exciting. We've got a little 101 explainer as to how triathlon has changed and moved through the Olympics through the years. And also, Heather has linked up with Summer Rappaport from Team USA and literally trained like an Olympian, followed her plan for a week, which is super exciting.
If you've got some more time to watch something now, why don't you click on the Beginner to Triathlete video. That's Alex, our cameraman, who has started his journey to be a triathlete. It promises to be a pretty interesting series. And of course, we have our Tokyo preview up, which you can see who's in, who's not in, and who's going for gold. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.